28YEARS later. That's right. Not one, not two, but 3 movies in this series. Beep, 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 beep. Well, this movie is a part of a franchise that is really interesting. I actually last night and today managed to watch 28 Weeks Later, something that I saw in the theater and remembered, frankly, loving. But I was in high school, so I hadn't seen as many movies as I have now. And I thought that it was a fun time, you know? I thought that it was it wasn't like, the masterpiece that 28 Days Later is, but really what is. Like, after recently reviewing 28 Days Later, I think I'm willing to put my foot down and say best zombie movie of all time. No asterisks required. It's the best one. It's better than Dawn of the Dead. Like, that movie is excellent, but, like, this is the best one. And 28 Weeks Later is interesting, where it has to pick up this mantle of this, like, really, like, artsy horror film that didn't, like, merit a sequel in the first place. But what they ended up doing was just playing around with different cameras for different context in 28 Weeks Later. And that continues into 28 Years Later. And I think that that's like if you want to use the film terminology, the motifs of the filmmaker behind what's it called? Just behind the visual style that the movie embraces. But jumping into this third one, because, I did watch the last one, they all are disconnected. They're all their own movies in a lot of ways. And this one, like 28 Weeks Later, no previous characters, nothing like that. But much time has passed. Like, the last one was like half a year has gone by. This one, a lot of years have gone by. Almost 30 years have gone by. And they basically set up that in the Great Britain, there has been this outbreak and they are fully quarantined. And other countries patrol the island just to make sure that, they're safe. And this one has been advertising this story that very easily the audience has been going, Last of Us, adult, child, zombies, Last of Us. And they would be correct. However, the film that the trailer is showing is merely the first 30 minutes of the movie. It's not that. The plot of the film, let me just say, of all these stories that they've told through this series, this one was definitely the least focused, I would say. This one comes in and has a lot of really big ideas and a lot of really interesting and really cool ideas, some of which I will go into, and then I will give you a warning for spoilers. But the main story of this is these people live in a secluded part of the... Like, I'm going to tell you what the story is if the trailer was being honest and giving you, like, the elevator pitch. There is this group that lives on an island connected to Great Britain that there's water in between them, and if the tide goes down, they have forged a path. But they're there, and this kid who's gone out once, His dad is Aaron Taylor Johnson, and he loses trust in his dad for some reason. And that's when he finds out that there is a doctor out there in the mainland, and he knows his mom is sick. And the mom is played as just like, very general dementia, like schizophrenia, like just like, I have dementia and I'm in the apocalypse. Isn't this so deep? And I think that the actress does a very good job. However, it comes across very, very shallow, that character. I hadn't even really thought about that. That's why I'm just saying that. I'll go into these characters a little bit. I think all the actors do a fine job, but because of the way that the film plays out, these characters, like, you don't really. The character I was most interested in is barely in the movie. This film really revolves around this kid, and I don't think he's a bad actor, but I don't think that he was like written in this way where it felt believable, you know? Like at the end of the day, the energy of that realism that they totally capture in 28 Days Later, and even at times in 28 Weeks Later, there are just moments of just like brutality that just they feel real, and it changes these characters, you know? Like in 28 Days Later, when you see Cillian Murphy's character kill someone, kill that kid for the first time, it is very, no pun intended, it beats him with a bat, very impactful. It tells it. We literally get to see that character go through a shift and do something that is out of the ordinary for that character. And in this movie, this kid character reminded me of how they portray Tomb Raider in the reboots, like of like the Xbox 360 era ones, like before they got crazy. But I remember in that first game, which I think is amazing, but the one thing that is silly in there is like you have the moment where like Tomb Raider shoots a guy with a gun and she has like a nervous breakdown, and then after that, like she's totally fine, like slaughtering people, like it's from 0 to 1,000,000, and I need to see that shift of the numbers going up, because you're missing out. You're missing out on like that crucial thing, that seeing that shift is what will make me like that character. And unfortunately, I think this kid's character doesn't have that. And I don't think that it's the actor's fault. I think that it falls down to the writing. But before like I get more into this movie, I just want to say that the one thing that they did an amazing job with, I'll say, like that I thought was really incredible, is and what I like about this franchise and why I'm willing to keep watching these movies is they like playing with different formats and different cameras, and I love that shit. I think that distortion is one of the most underutilized things, special effects, if you will, in film today. Like, no question, dude. The idea of someone distorting the image however they see fit, shining the light into the lens and beyond, dude, or just having pixelization, digital noise, stuff like that. I love that. And that comes from these different cameras that they use. And they have cameras that they've never used before in this franchise. And it leads to some very cool scenes. There's one scene you've seen advertised, and they do it a couple times, but there's one scene where you see like they're walking around with like this rig of iPhones, and they use that in a really cool way, like where some action will happen and then it just like it spins to it, and it's really cool. I really like that. And there's this other thing they do where they kind of do that thing where you get to see the character's imagination. Like you get to see them, uh, like them imagining what happened somewhere, or it could be exactly what happened there. It's up in the air, but when they do that, they use this camera that's red, and I was hoping they would do more with that. I still thought it looked really cool. And they play it up a little bit at one point, but I really liked that the what's it called, the red lens that they shot through. I thought it was really cool looking. It creates like this night vision effect with this like strong red tone, even at times, because there's a lot of water. They're on an island. It reminds you of like the beginning of Evil Dead 2, where they showed like the water, the seas ran red, like obvious like metaphor that they're trying to do in this. At least in Evil Dead, that's a cartoon. They can do that. That's consistent with that. The problem, or let me just, before I get into that, the there's also one other thing that I thought was really pretty looking, even though it is like it is a lot of schmutz and bullshit kind of CGI, but like because there was so much going on, I actually liked it because of what they were trying to portray. And there's this moment where like someone is running in water, and the sky, you can see like galaxies, and like all these stars and shit, and it's reflecting on the water, and the camera's cutting real fast, and everything is moving, and although I thought that scene ended in a way that really like just like fell flat, I thought that it was really cool looking when it was going on. And unfortunately, like besides this one more thing that I have to say about like the ideas in this movie, I think that this movie was unfortunately a little bit of a letdown. Um, the first one feels so effortless. The second one, it's a Hollywood movie, it's forced. It's not the original director. It was never supposed to happen. But there's a vision there. And with this one, there's so many ideas, and there's so many characters, and there's so many different things going on that it feels like it lacks focus. And that was an unfortunate thing for this movie. I wasn't necessarily bored, but like I was annoyed that like it was going the way that it was. It has all the makings of like great ideas and stuff, but it doesn't focus on any of them long enough to like fully develop them. That's a good way to put that. The music, needle drops felt heavy. I didn't dislike the songs they used, but I kept asking the same question. Why? Why? And it leads to the movie like feeling kind of like a mess, unfortunately. I know this is the first of a new trilogy. Yes, yes, Albus, I heard that. I heard that after the movie. And to be honest, it's kind of unfortunate. Um I don't think that saves it, because what happens at the end of the movie, it goes like it completely jumps the shark and becomes something else. And it's stuff that I like, in other movies. But like here, I was just like, why are you doing this? Like that's not that doesn't fit the tone, you know? That doesn't seem right. It'd be like I don't know how to put this. I don't know how to put this without spoiling it, but there is like the ending and there's something that happens in this movie that they randomly introduce and set up and it's it's a little weird. It's a little weird. And this is where I'll tell you before I go into spoilers, one of the other interesting ideas that I liked in this that felt like they kind of set it up or it felt like a nod to 28 weeks later is they have alpha infected. And the alpha infected, they're just like bigger, stronger, and they have like a calling card where they do something horrendous, like I won't tell you what it is, but they have some sort of calling card that they do to let you know there is an alpha. I thought that was interesting and cool, but at the same time, it leads to some stuff that I'm trying to think of a better word, but it's just kind of dumb and not in like a good way because it doesn't fit the tone. Like 28 days later is not silly. It's not. It's the realest fucking shit. It doesn't get more hardcore than 28 days later. It does not. And this one ends in a way where I was just like, what the hell? I was watching that. Like I had totally assumed this one character was someone, and then they're like, actually, this character you saw at the beginning, it's this guy. And it's like, okay. Are these alpha zombies on the run from authorities in Romania? I'm sorry, I'm not smart enough to understand that reference, but I hope you'll understand this reference. Spoiler alert. What was the first thing that I wanted to say? I don't know where to begin with like the spoiler issues I have with this movie, but they do something that I'm okay with them doing that, but the execution and what it leads to just feels empty. It feels like it's there just to be like, wow, can you believe they fucking did that? At one point, they show when there's a bunch of these infected shambling around, which, by the way, the infected, they don't even look like zombies anymore. They look like fucking cavemen. And I'm not crazy about that. Like, at first, I was like, yeah, they're fucking dirty. But, like, all of them, nobody's wearing their McDonald's uniform anymore. I like that about zombies, is that it's people who are fucking, wearing the clothes of everyday people in society. That's a big part of it. But like they all look like cavemen, okay? And maybe it's intentional because one of the infected is pregnant. And they make it seem like at one point that the alphas are fucking the female infected because like they show some alphas with like fucking massive dongs, dude. And they hold on that shit. And I don't know if that's what's going on in there, if they're actually doing that. But that's pretty fucking stupid. And I would hope that like that's not the case, because then we're getting too crazy. It's getting to a place that isn't grounded and scary, because the first movie is is extremely realistic, almost feels like a found footage film. And then the second one is kind of like Resident Evil 5 in a way, where some people are split on that game, but it's just that it's more action focused, and some of the action is cool. And in this one, you know, they have some cool stuff with the camera, but it's not, there's no helicopter blades killing all these, zombies and stuff. It's a lot of Last of Us looking stuff, shooting them with arrows and stuff, which is totally fine, and there's some good scenes with that. But when they show this pregnant infected and it gives birth, the moment it happens, the mother character, who is acting like someone, like I said, with dementia, like comes up to her because she hears this infected screaming. She's randomly in a train and it looks like she's pushing. And the mother with dementia goes up to the infected, and I swear to God, dude, the infected and the mom lock fingers like this, and she pushes out the baby and then falls back like, is it a boy? And then the kid, like they cut the umbilical cord and stuff, and then right back at it. And then, they kill the mother infected. The baby is totally fine. At one point, they show the baby looking like this. I don't know. I thought like that was kind of funny. But there's even a line where it's like a character's like, so you came here because of the baby. It's like, nah, we found that baby. And it's just like, what the fuck, movie? Like, why you say it like that, man? And the other thing I was going to say that I didn't spoil, the Alpha's calling card, they fucking Mortal Kombat people. They rip off the head with the spine hanging out and they put it somewhere. And you see them like fucking up animals and stuff in this movie, and it's pretty cool. But the biggest issue with this movie is how it ends. And like this character of this kid, I didn't buy that character for 1 second. Like, he's scared as fuck. He sucks when he goes out the first time. And then he sneaks out on his own with his mom, and he's like never missing. He's total badass. Even though his mom saves his ass a few times, like that felt like a very like lazy scene that they had when they do that. But at the very end, when this kid is when he like is he takes the baby to the village that he lived at, and then he leaves. And then when it cuts back to him and he's just casually cooking a fish, and it's very obvious what's about to happen. A horde of zombies are going to come. Then all of a sudden, remember in the trailer, they showed you the Teletubbies? Well, one of the kids in that opening scene, who I just accepted was Aaron Taylor Johnson. I just accepted that. You know what I mean? I just accepted that was how it was. And I was like, all right, whatever. Turns out that kid had a group of friends he made during the apocalypse, and they start playing the Teletubbies music, and then all those guys dressed up in those jumpsuits, dressed up in these like, track suits, come out with weapons and stuff, and they start just fucking up these zombies. And it's just like, what is going on? And it's not like they're just in tracksuits. Like, the kid from the beginning is all grown up with gold teeth, a grill, rings on all fingers. And it's just like, what the fuck? It's just, and it ends like that, man. And I know there's like 2 more coming, but it's like, all right, like here's the thing. I think as something else, it's like, all right, like that's kind of cool, but like this shit is not like this this is so far removed from the other 2 movies. So the kid becomes Ali G. Oh my God. Yes. Yes. Oh my God. I'm split on it. I I don't think it's I think that there's some cool technical stuff in there, but I think it fails in the storytelling department, and it's not like it's not a very tight film. Like even movies that I wouldn't really want to rewatch, like Bring Her Back, like that movie was effective. I was scared the whole time. Like this, I wasn't really scared. Like it was neat to see, but I don't know. I thought that it was a bit of a disappointment. And again, it's falling into this weird place of in between like a low matinee and like a high rental. So it's pretty much like a high rental, I think, man. But I think the last one I'd give it like probably like a low matinee, which comes out to be like 7 or 6 out of 10. Like it, it's not all I thought it would be. The trailer is edited super well, and that music or whatever that they use in the trailer is in the movie, but that plays into part of the problem of the movie, which is the randomness of it all. It's a letdown. I didn't hate it, but I might have hated it if I would have missed this screening and gone to see it for myself. I might have been upset, but I was let down. But I thought that it had its moments, and although it felt predictable and derivative at times, I enjoyed it more than I didn't. Any questions? Did I miss anything? If you didn't have the expectations for it, would you feel differently about it? If I didn't have the expectations of it being a part of this franchise, that's the problem, man. You can't be like, oh, it's a totally different. No, bitch, it's a sequel. It is. Call it something else then. Call it something else. They should have called this something else. And what I do like about this is that we can still get a prequel to this movie and a sequel to 28 Weeks Later, which is what I would really like. You do 28 months later. That could fix everything. Forget this movie is like, it's cool. I liked it, but not great. Not great. 28 Days Later is like a masterpiece that I feel like even if someone doesn't like horror movies, it's like, okay, but if you like movies, like just give this a try because it's fucking magical. You know, it will feel so real. This one, it felt very, very overproduced, and that ending feels directly like studio interference. We waited 18 years, and this is the best they give us. It could have been worse. It could have been worse. They did not show the infected having sex, no. But they kind of implied that, like, the alphas might be fucking. Clickbait ending? Dude, I'm telling you, the movie is, remember the Teletubbies? They're trying to foreshadow silly guys and color stuff, and they play that audio of the Teletubbies while they're killing the zombies, and it's just out of nowhere. I don't give a fuck about that. Like, what? Like, you're trying to show me, like, a fucking a gang of guys? Like, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, at the end, it becomes ridiculous. The guys come out with the jewelry and the grills and the sports suits. And they start fucking, like, cutting off the heads and, like, doing all this crazy shit. And it's just like, it was weird. The best thing that they didn't, I mean, they reprised, like, rats running on people's feet. But thankfully, no eye gouging in this movie. That was probably the thing that annoyed me the most in 28 Weeks Later, was that, like, that one character, the infected eye gouges someone. I was like, you didn't need that. Sounds like a bad acid trip ending. It kind of is. The ending is super fucking weak. And it, like I said, it feels like studio interference. But there's a lot of really nice stuff. But also, one thing I barely mentioned, Aaron Taylor Johnson is in a third of this movie. He is not in the whole thing. And even though, like, he's kind of an asshole, I wanted to see more of his character. He was the only character I found interesting. Everyone else, like, it was it wasn't deep enough, man. It wasn't deep enough. This kid going on his zombie killing bar mitzvah, it wasn't enough. I would say that I won't keep going on and on about spoilers because I'm sure people want to go in blind. I found it disappointing. 28 Days Later is a realistic depiction of fast zombies, and I feel like that has been lost in some ways. There are ideas in here that I loved, but it's unfortunately kind of lost it, and I will now have to accept it as something new because that is what it is. Did I miss anything, guys? Is there anything else? I feel like I did a pretty thorough job explaining it. You really were disappointed. Hear it in your voice. I wanted to love this, dude. I thought the trailer was amazing. I thought the trailer was so good. But it's a very unfocused film. And when you're unfocused in the third movie, who's this movie for? Oh my God. If you ever had a mom, this movie's for you. If you like zombie shit, if you like art house, it does a lot of experimental stuff with the camera, but it's a big disappointment. We'll drop it here. Cut. Make sure to like, subscribe. Oh, that shit. I didn't feel, you know what? Maybe I do feel like it wasted my time, but I'm not mad at it. But dude, it's I don't know, dude. I thought it was I thought it was disappointing. At the end of the day, man. I thought it was disappointing. Like 28 years in, and there's just randomly a pregnant zombie, dude. How is that happening? Are they fucking, dude? That's fucking stupid. I don't want to. I've said too much. I'm sorry I mentioned that. I will say no more. I don't want to spoil it. I know Jason will get mad if I spoil the movie for him, but I would just say go in expecting just a zombie movie. Don't go in expecting 28 years or like a 28 Days Later movie. Just go in expecting something inspired by 28 Days Later and Weeks Later. I would like to see 28 Months Later. I would like to see that movie. But this is cool, right, guys? Let me just do something real quick just to mark it for myself. Just thing. All right. Did any of you landlubbards out there who have PlayStation Super Plus download FBC Firebreak? I hear it's a short game because you're supposed to replay levels, but it's short enough, I think, that we'll be able to beat it right now. But did you guys like that review? I felt pretty good about that review. I'm not going to lie. That feels like maybe the best one I've done yet. Boot, boot, boot. Also, if you're still in the chat, Albus, I'm glad that I fucking got your ass. Albus at the beginning of the stream, dude, said, "Oh, the movie's good. That's all I need to hear." And I didn't say a fucking word. I'm glad that you guys bought that excitement. I was trying to fake it.